I call to order the July 23rd, 2025 Area Board of Zoning Appeals of Tippecanoe County meeting. First item on the agenda is the roll call.
Steve Clevenger.
Present.
Kerry Schroeder.
Present.
Tim Vanderplatz.
Present.
Robert Novak.
Present.
Brad Hellberg. Ed Butts.
Present.
Rabita Rajkanikar. Quorum present.
Thank you. Next item is approval of the previous meeting's minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the June 25th, 2025 ABZA public hearing as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved as submitted. New business. Thank you. Now go ahead and take the public hearing motion, please.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendations on the application to be heard this evening, and responses from the checkpoint agencies.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. I'd like to briefly go through our procedures for tonight's meeting. Each case will be heard following a motion and a second from the board. We'll ask the staff to report on its findings. Following the staff report, we will ask the petitioner to present his or her case, after which anyone wishing to support the petitioner's request for a variance or special exception will be asked to come forward. After hearing from the petitioner and those speaking on his or her behalf, we will ask those speaking against the petition to present their arguments. The petitioner will then be allowed to rebut arguments raised by those in opposition to his or her petition. Following the rebuttal, the board may wish to ask questions of the petitioner's supporters and opponents of the petition or of the staff. The staff will have the opportunity at this time to make any necessary clarifying comments. We will then vote by use of a prescribed ballot. 4 votes are necessary to make any decision. In the absence of 4 votes, either for or against, the petition is automatically continued to the next meeting. Please observe the following guidelines for the sake of time and fairness to all. State your name and address for the record before you speak. If you are not the petitioner, please, after you speak, there's a clipboard on the staff desk. Please sign in. Limit your remarks to 5 minutes or less. Do not repeat arguments that have been brought up by others. Remember that all visual aids used to support your arguments will remain the property of the board. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. Please step out of the room before using your cell phone. With that in mind, we'll hear the first case.
I move to hear and vote on BZA 2198, Travis and Christine First. Petitioners and owners request a variance to reduce the side north setback from the required 25 feet to 0 feet, described by petitioner as 1 foot from the sidewalk, to install a 6-foot privacy fence. The R1 zone property is lot 29 of Red Oak Subdivision, Section 2, more commonly known as 4525 Fir Oak Lane, WIA 17, Southeast 22-4. Continued from the June 25th, 2025 ABZA hearing, first continuance.
Second.
Good evening, Christine Royal, APC staff. The petitioner is, of course, like you said, in Red Oak Subdivision. The area is zoned R1. Lots to the north are in Rolling Hills, and those are zoned R1B, and land further to the south is floodplain that is due to the presence of Weah Creek. The site in question has a single-family residence surrounded by other single-family residences. The property is on a corner lot, and Burr Oak Lane to the north of the property and Burr Oak Court to the east are local streets with a 50-foot right-of-way that run along the corners of the lot. The UZO requires a vision clearance triangle where two intersecting public streets meet. Petitioner's proposed fence, approximately 42 feet east of the Burr Oak Lane right-of-way, would be clear of this triangle. Let's see, petitioners are requesting a variance to reduce the Burr Oak Court east side setback along the northern lot line from the required 25-foot to 0 foot to install a tall privacy fence, 6-foot tall privacy fence. The property has a house, a swimming pool, a trampoline, and also a large shed in the corner of the northeast section of the lot. The photo on the left is of the sidewalk along Burr Oak Court, and the photo on the right, you can see the petitioner's shed and the neighbor's RV. The property to the east has the RV, and it is within the 25-foot front setback that the state, and that is the reason they want this fence, is to hide their view from the RV. We do want to point out that per the UZO 446A, optional parking is not allowed within the front setbacks. We understand that there is probably no other place for that RV to be parked, but we do want to point that out. The photo on the left shows the south side of the property. Looking at the photo on the right, there is a 15-foot wide utility and drainage easement starting 1 foot from the sidewalk and extending towards the house along Burr Oak Lane and Burr Oak Court right-of-way lines. There is also a 10-foot wide drainage easement along the rear east side of the property. This is the site plan. Staff believes there is no hardship in this case that would make a 0-foot setback variance for a fence justifiable. Minimum relief would be a fence built at a 15-foot setback outside of the existing drainage and utility easements, and this is a self-imposed hardship since it's the petitioner's wish to build a fence on the property line and right-of-way line. Area Plan Commission on June 18th determined that this variance is not a use variance, and staff has to recommend denial. If amended to a 15-foot setback, staff would recommend approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Christina. Petitioner, his or her representative.
Good evening, gentlemen. My wife Christine, I'm Travis, Travis First, 4525 Burr Oak Lane, Lafayette 47909. Yes, just as described, we're looking to construct a fence for various reasons, safety, privacy. I don't know, did everybody get, I provided a kind of a response to the staff report. We fully understand the safety considerations, and I know we had a couple folks in the neighborhood that were concerned about visibility, but I believe we're well within that, as stated by Christine. As far as the easement, as it states in the report, people do build in easements. It's not recommended. There are several houses in the area that have things in easements, especially in Sterling Heights area where we also have a property in Rolling Hills. And there's many houses in those neighborhoods that have fences very close. And I know they're not the same as far as easements go, but we'd like to get the fence as close to the sidewalk as possible, at least to the outside of the trees. And if you'll see, and as far as the easement goes, I understand if the utility company needs to come in and do something, I'm 100% wholly responsible and more than willing to work with anybody to remove it or take it down, or take it down for whatever construction needs to be done to have that done. Our neighbor Al, who lives with the camper, he's actually very much in support of it. He's actually the one that wanted us to do it because he wanted to hide the camper, and we were looking to do it.
He's paying for half of the fence.
Yeah, half the fence in the back there to do that. If you look at page 4, I finally, I flooded Christine with like several emails this morning, or last night and this morning. But the 811 said they weren't going to be able to get out until Thursday, but they came out today at my request, thankfully. But you can see where the utilities run. There's fiber right along the sidewalk at 0. The fence would be, I don't care, within 1.5 to in between the power line there, because there's about 2 3/4 feet between the 1.5 foot to the power line. So there's plenty of space there. Then you got Cat 5 running, 10-foot offset is right at the tree. 15 foot is just outside the gas line, with about 2 1/4 feet from it. So that is pretty much, let me see if there's anything else I want to say.
The 15 feet cuts us off access from the trees,
Yeah.
from the swing that's in there that my
Yeah.
children use all the time in the backyard.
Yeah, we'd really like to encompass those trees as much as possible.
I don't, 10 foot, which is what our one neighbor recommended, he emailed, I believe, but that would be right in the middle of the tree, so
And
would kill the tree.
And I would say the safety issue that was raised with visibility, you'll see in this pack here, I sent an email because of discussions. Folks have complained about near misses or collisions at that intersection because people are moving through that neighborhood a little too fast because there is a yield sign at every intersection and this neighborhood is picked up heavily with traffic, especially with Amazon and everything else running through there all the time. And so therefore, I'm petitioning the traffic division to maybe do a traffic study to see if there's something can be done, maybe reduce the speed limit, install stop signs instead of yield signs to kind of slow folks down. Al actually mentioned to me, he's said for years that he wants, they should have speed bumps in there, but we don't want speed bumps. Stop sign would be good, but that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak in support of the petition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the petition? Comments, questions from the board? I guess one concern that I have is that the fence, especially if it goes all the way out to 1 foot, the neighbor's driveway, if they back out. But I mean, granted, the camper is currently there,
And
but it may not always
right there
be
too,
there.
which is theirs.
Yeah.
They park their truck right along there all the time.
And I actually have,
That red truck is usually right across
Yeah.
the street, on our side of the street.
And to remedy that, and for aesthetics, I have other ideas on angles and things. I actually think I want to cut a 45 off the corner to make it more aesthetically pleasing and add that visibility, so at least you get a little better angle.
A little better angle.
Yeah.
I mean, that would
Yeah.
be appreciated.
Yeah,
'Cause
I want this to
I'm
look.
concerned with cars.
Yeah.
and with
Absolutely, and we want
them
everybody to
backing
be
out.
safe. We
Yeah.
have children, that's why we want the fence too.
Yeah.
And
I want it to
everybody-
look good
yeah.
in the neighborhood. I really don't want a 6-foot wall. I've actually got other thoughts. If I get approved a 6-foot wall, I don't think I'm gonna build a 6-foot anyway. But that gives me the option. So
Yeah,
we want it to look
up to
aesthetically
6 foot.
pleasing in the neighborhood because the neighborhood's beautiful. And as long as I live there, I'm gonna maintain it. What I dislike is fences that just go,
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen.
Okay.
So,
As long as we own the property, it won't be.
yeah.
The other question I have is, do you know where the property line is? I mean,
Yeah.
you've had it surveyed to know?
Yeah.
Have it,
or
well,
know
I
where
We
the
had
have
a
the-
survey, we use the
the
plot.
marker?
The marker,
Okay, the lot marker.
yes. We found 2 of them.
So you know that it is 1 foot from the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would actually, so, like I said, if you,
That-
well, in my packet here, like, I put that at 1.5 foot, because I don't want to go 1 foot, because that's even too close to the fiber. So I would probably go probably 2 feet, because there's plenty of room between that and the power. If you look at page 4, there's plenty of room in there. The biggest thing is just to get those trees in and stay away from the utilities. So I'm not like beholden to 0 zero offset, 1 foot,
Absolutely.
right?
Does staff have any concerns with the variability of, 1 to 2 feet, or, since it's asking for 1 feet or 1 foot?
I mean, generally, we don't recommend the petitioner to request any more than they absolutely need.
Right.
So the minimum required would be what would be preferred.
That's what I was trying to get at.
So, yeah, what would that be, like 2 feet?
I'd say
How
2
close?
feet.
do you
Right,
do it?
if you
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
you're going to need anything closer to 2 feet, we can have you amend the petition.
Yeah, I'd
To
do
make
2
it
feet.
2 feet instead of 1 foot.
Yeah.
And do we need a motion to accept that?
As long as they have indicated on the record that that is their
That is their
then
amendment.
that's fine.
Okay.
As long as we get that, and
Yep.
the 45 degree, if that is also a
Okay.
Yeah.
Amend that.
Amended so that you have a 45. Do you know how much?
northeast.
I got it, well, I'm doing the math in my head, because I don't do math.
Need a different picture.
I'm doing, I'm going to
I mean,
do
is
it by
it-
the post. I'm going to do it big
Right.
enough to where I want to get it so all the pickets line up and I don't have to do half pickets. And so I don't know exactly what the
Yeah,
amount is. It's probably going to be, well, yeah, I know. I would say, well, the shed, you can't see where the shed is. So probably where the tick, so the 2 ticks that come to converge, probably about right there between those 2 ticks on the corner. Something around there.
So we just need, if that's what you're committing to, we need a revised site plan.
Okay.
Okay.
We can do that.
And since it's moved, a foot in from, from that 2, that'll vary slightly too.
Okay. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll map it all out. I won't get this we're going to be out of town until next Thursday, so.
Starting tomorrow
I
at
don't know. But I'll get that. I can work on that, for sure. When do you need that by? Actually, let me ask you that. 'Cause I'll go home and do it
I'll
tonight if I
ask
have to.
staff when they need, I think, isn't it before they receive any type of improvement location permit?
Okay.
Yeah, and it gets a little sticky, just because if you don't have it to vote on, you're not sure what you're voting on. To me, you got to have at least a parameter that says that the angled fence will be
Fence
at
will be-
least 6 feet wide, 8 feet, whatever that is, and then
Or
give it
4
some,
feet by 4 feet, or,
anything that you can measure, because we're not going to get a
Right.
drawing right now. We need to be able to objectively say, yes, that complies. So
Yeah.
I'd leave it to,
Yeah, how far at a 90-degree angle, how far back would you want it off?
He has a photo on page 9 that
Yeah,
shows
there's
an
a-
angle.
Yeah, there's page 9.
there's a photo on page,
Page 9,
shows the angle.
yes.
that's
Is
at
that
the
what
other,
you're-
that's at the other corner though, right?
Well, no, at the back, I kind of drew it in at the back. I don't know if it's on there. You can see
Okay,
it.
yeah, I see that.
Oh, I see.
I mean, you're talking about a corner piece. If they're another foot back, that they're saying 2 feet, and if
It's not going to matter.
it seems like it's
As long as we got a
agreeable.
drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we can, yeah.
If that's the drawing.
If they're going to be at 2 feet, I think that's a nice agreement.
Here.
And this is 6 inches to 1 foot from sidewalk. Is that because the sidewalk varies?
No, that was the original, like, as we learned the learning process.
Okay.
Because I didn't know.
Yeah, they were,
Yeah.
sorry, they were requesting the setback variance from the sidewalk, and we just kind of made the request
Yeah.
as we like it from the actual property line.
So based on their findings, and now we're adding 2 feet. So I mean,
Yeah.
that is another foot of visibility. I haven't been on that corner, but it seems like it's
Yeah, and the cul-de-sac going up
Better.
there isn't very busy. Going the other
So
way.
we'll need a revised site plan.
Okay, I can get to that.
That shows that it's 2 feet, and then shows also the dimensions of that, and approximately how far back that would be. Would it be 3 feet, 4 feet?
Yes, I can do that. I can do the measurement. What the actual angle is or the length of the panel, I don't know, but I can say 45 degree from X number of feet back from the 2 foot line to start at a 45.
Do you have any approximate so that we have it tonight to vote on, rather than just?
I would say looking at it,
if it-
knowing what I know, based on, let me look here. Based on the drawing, let's see, I would say if I start, that tree, see that 10-foot line on that, if you look on my page 4, that tree is at probably,
Get
like,
there.
it's
Yeah,
right
this page.
at 10 foot.
Okay.
So I would say probably, that's 10 foot from the sidewalk, so that's 9 foot from the property line. So I would say maybe it's 8 foot from the
8
property
foot.
line,
At least 8 feet.
8 feet from the property line to start the 45.
8 feet from the property line on each, from the front,
From-
or from the side, the
From the
street side.
sidewalk, and then it'll be
From
a
the
45, and where it meets the 2-foot line.
So it'd be 6 feet from the 2-foot line,
No,
if it's 8 feet
At
from the
least.
sidewalk.
no, I said 8 foot from
8
the,
foot.
8 foot from the property line.
Oh, 8 foot from the property
Yeah, I
line.
said, yeah, because the tree, that tree is 10 foot, so subtract 2, so that'd be 8 foot. And there's also utility, like, yeah, I
there's
think
other
I think that's fine, because you can
utilities.
see under the Cat 5, right under that 5.6 feet, there's a
flag.
utility thing. So it's gonna cross over that, so I'm gonna put the pole so it crosses over.
And I want to make it clear, the fence is this is at least 2 feet from the sidewalk, but the property line
Is 1 foot from the sidewalk.
is 1 foot from the sidewalk.
Using sidewalk.
So we're using,
I think you should use sidewalk. It's
Use
a known-
sidewalk.
It's a known.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, on
But
page
it is-
5, the line of sight at 1.5, I mean, you got the camper there at 2 feet. I mean, if you're 2 feet, I feel like if you're going to box it in, I mean, leave it up to them. If they want to put
Yeah.
a
Okay.
thing on, if they want to cut that corner, that's fine. That's just an enhancement. I think
Right.
if we approve 2 feet, it's just, it seems like it's reasonable. Better than the 1.5.
and the problem with is a variance is from the when we request a variance, it's from the property line, not from,
And that's fine.
Like a
The
sidewalk.
AO can make that measurement. All I'm saying is we know exactly where the sidewalk is tonight. I
okay,
don't know
That's what he's
exactly where, or we don't know
Exactly
exactly
where
where
the property line
And the
is.
staff can enforce and make
Use
sure
the
it's
sidewalk,
to,
they can use the property line, because they'll be able to tell what it is.
okay.
So my suggestion is the first condition is the fence at least 2 feet from the sidewalk.
Okay.
AO is going to determine that. Second, northeast corner cut to a 45-degree angle, and I need a description of what that means. How much is it going to be? How long is the 45-degree panel going to be, for example, would be one way to do it. No less than 6 feet, no less than 8 feet. Otherwise, you're measuring corners 90 degrees from the sidewalk. I don't know what we're measuring.
but it's still within the boundary. I mean, it's still set, still within the 2 feet
Yeah.
from the sidewalk.
I understand that. It could go all the way up here and be a 45 also. The point is, do you want just a 1-foot panel that's 45, or do you care? I'm suggesting you should be descriptive about how much of
Yeah.
that 45 you're taking. You taking a big bite or a little bite?
Yeah. Well, it seems like that tree blocks a lot too. It's kind of got some low limbs,
It
so.
does. I mean,
It's all gonna be cleaned up.
We could say, a minimum, or have some minimal amount so that we know it, at least it's there, but they
How
can
about-
go further.
How
I
about
mean-
with the known, because there is the telecommunications box right there,
Okay,
that I go, I'd be on the other side of that, inside of that, or, sorry, yeah, inside of that on the property, I don't know, a foot or 2 feet, because I'm gonna stay away from that anyway.
I think they're gonna have to dig the posts. They have all
Yeah,
the lines out there from the utility. They're
Yeah.
gonna have to put the posts between, I mean,
Right.
is it a
Right,
5-foot panel? I
exactly.
think you have to
So
stay,
it's not-
stay within your
Mm-hmm.
designated utility lines and the.
yeah.
And that's why I just don't know what the size of the panel is, because I want it to be big enough to where I can get enough pickets, and I'm not gonna do that, I'm not gonna, until I set posts, I'm gonna set the posts.
Well, I was just
where-
wondering if we
yeah.
can have like some number, like 3 feet back and 3 feet.
Right, and
you know,
I
from
would
the-
say-
From the fence.
I would
or
say
as a-
the Cat 5, or let's see, that utility box is about,
So we would request that the request not be amended in reference to the utility box or some feature of the
Right.
property that could be changed in the future. Just to make that clear.
I mean, that's why I was getting at with the sidewalk too. The sidewalk could always.
Well, could it be
ripped
as
off.
consistent as 2 feet from the sidewalk, 2 feet from the neighbor's property line, and then just cut the
Yeah.
angle and call it, I mean, as long as you're not going to dig through utility
Right.
easements. Make it as close as you can. Just keep it consistent, 2 feet around.
Give me the language, I'm happy to do it. It just needs to be descriptive enough to tell what we're saying.
Just maintain 2 feet from the sidewalk, 2 feet from the
What's 2
neighbors.
feet from the
So,
sidewalk?
as far as the
fence.
What's part of the fence? I mean,
Yeah, well, where they're,
If we're cutting to 45.
The
what
fence
is
that
the
we're
description
asking.
to
Hold on.
describe where the
Variance for.
45 is going to be?
No storage.
Gotta be clear, gotta be objective.
They do.
I mean,
As far as the back goes, where it goes by Al's property, it's going to be like right on, and Al and I have already are working on an agreement to like, it's going to,
right on the property.
it's
line.
going to float because that property line is, you can see it's at an angle, and aesthetically it'll look like terrible.
The letter says that it's not perfectly
Yeah.
on the property line,
Yeah.
but both owners
Do you know
agree,
how
and we're
long
gonna
your panels-
record that.
Your
We're
fence
gonna
panels are?
I'm building it
6
myself,
foot.
I'm doing 6 foot.
They're 6 foot panels?
Yeah,
They're not panels, we're
yeah.
built,
Okay.
picketing it ourselves, but we're putting 6 foot, a post every 6 foot.
I guess the way I would like to see it, and I think that Eric's getting at the same thing, that if we have some minimum, how much of that corner you're going to cut off. So I mean, is it like 3 feet? If you were to have a point
Yeah, I say,
where the corner, and we say that it's going to be at least 3 feet in both directions that you're going to cut
right.
off.
I
I
can
mean,
do
if
that. and
I mean,
can
if that is so that we have something descriptive that we can.
I can tell you that right now.
enforce.
Do a minimum of 3 feet from this, or you can say 4 feet from the sidewalk, and then 4 feet from the property line, and that'll give me the 45, and then I'll probably go more than that if it's a minimum of that, and that'll clear that. That'll clear that utility box if it's 4 and 4.
4 feet from the sidewalk and 4 feet from.
The back property line.
I may not give you an exact
From our
45,
neighbors,
but
yeah.
it's,
Yeah. That's gonna be, I'm gonna go more than that, I'm sure, because I want it to be bigger than that.
Oh, I don't wanna have.
it's a 4 feet.
I would suggest you describe a minimum or maximum on the 45-degree panel. Because otherwise, I think we're being imprecise, at least I can't tell where that
Well,
is.
I guess
If you
if
said
you
that
have-
the panel would be a minimum of 6 feet wide, that would describe it. 'Cause then
Yeah, I
you
think
can
that's
decide
good.
where it's
If,
gonna
that's
be.
uniform. If it's a 6 foot panel, let's just say 6 feet, because that
That makes sense.
you can make that
Okay.
work.
That
Okay,
works.
Yes.
minimum of 6 feet.
Yeah, we can
minimum.
make it work right there, in that area.
That's easy.
45-degree panel of 6 feet. So 2 conditions, fence at least 2 feet from the sidewalk, that's one. The second is the northeast corner, cut to a 45-degree angle with a minimum for 6 feet. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Number 1, fence at least 2 feet from the sidewalk. Number 2, northeast corner cut to a 45-degree angle with a minimum of 6 feet wide with a 6 feet wide 45-degree panel. Is that clear to everyone?
Yeah.
And those are agreeable to both of you?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
And we need a motion for that?
You can, it's not necessary, but if you want to, you certainly can. Make a
I'll
motion
go ahead and
to amend.
I'll take a motion to amend it with those two. If somebody would like to make that motion.
So 2 feet from the sidewalk, at a minimum 6 foot panel. Northeast corner cut to 45 degree with a minimum of a 6 foot panel wide fence.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. So those are conditions or commitments
Excellent.
on that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
sir.
Any other discussion or questions from the board? Hearing none, we've got a ballot.
Have a good evening.
And you need a site plan for that, right? Updated? I'll get you to that. Thank you.
5 ballots cast, 4 yes, 1 no.
Variance has been granted, and we'll hear our next case, please.
I move to hear and vote on BZA 2202, Kevin L. Brubaker, trustees et al. Petitioner and owner, represented by Jeff Haley of Pyramid Network Services, requests a special exception to permit a primary communications tower operating 24 hours per day, 7 days per week in the A zone. The subject site is a 100-foot by 100-foot area of a 40-acre tract located just south of the intersection of East 600 North and North County Line Road East, Washington 25, Northeast 24-3.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, and we'll hear from staff, please.
Nathan McBurnett, APC staff. We're here within 1,000 feet of the Carroll County line. Petitioner is proposing a 199-foot self-supported monopole. I think the company is Verizon cell phone tower. An image of that location, that 100 by 100 area within the 40-acre tract. Closer up. The site plan shows the monopole. It's set back, I think, a total of 80 feet from the right-of-way. It's required to be set back a minimum of 20% of the height, so it exceeds that setback. There's I think it's a 6-foot tall fence that goes around the site to enclose it. The site plan shows additional areas, the rectangular areas outside of the monopole for co-location sites for additional users. All of that is within the 100-foot setback. The proposal passes all the tests and staff recommends approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Nathan. Petitioner, his or her representative.
Good evening. Jeff Haley on behalf of Pyramid Network Services, Verizon Wireless, and Horvath Communications. 15375 Cherry Tree Road, Noblesville, Indiana, 46062. So yeah, Nathan explained it pretty well. As you can see, the site plan, which I believe that you guys all have access to. The network for Verizon in that area is very, very poor. I provided you all packets as well in front of you. Each of those on the first tab is the statement of need from the RF engineer from Verizon Wireless. The second tab is the one that will show you the coverage of what it currently is in that area. And then the next page that will show you what the coverage will be once the tower is added. So it adds a massive amount of coverage and a network upgrade for that area. As Nathan said, it will be 199 foot, which meets FAA guidelines. There's also an FAA report in the back of your packet. There will not need to be a light on it as it's under 200 feet. There's also a page in the packet, a couple pages, one from an engineer stating that the tower will not tip over. It is going to be designed to crumble. So in emergency weather, it's very over-engineered at the bottom. It will like twist and end up in the exact compound area. So in that event of a natural disaster or anything like that, it will be designed to crumble, not to tip. And then I think the second to last tab in there is a letter from Horvath Communications president and CEO stating that the tower will be built to the standard to add 3 more co-locators on the tower. And that's without any amendments to the tower. It'll be built to that strength from the beginning. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
We may have some in a minute.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
We'll hear from others first if there are any. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition to the petition? Questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, we've got a ballot.
Five ballots cast, 5 yes, 0 no.
Special exception has been granted. And we'll hear our last case, please.
I move to hear and vote on BZA 2203, Paul Luttrell. Petitioner and owner requests a variance to reduce the front south setback from a required 25 feet to 10 feet for a new shed. The R1 zone property is Lot 13 of the Cedar Hollow subdivision, commonly known as 200 Cedar Hollow Court, West Lafayette, Wabash 8, Northwest 23-4, and 6 Northwest 23-4.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, and we'll hear from staff, please. Nathan?
Nathan McBurnett, APC staff. We're out here at the corner of Soldiers Home Road and Cedar Hollow Court in West Lafayette. Just an aerial view of the site here, close up. You can see, especially from the aerial, the kind of ravine that goes along the west and north side of the property. Some images later on will show kind of how deep that ravine is. The request is for about 160 square foot tool shed that would go in the front yard. Currently on this image, there's a garden that's visible in front of the house. The shed would essentially go right along the edge of the ravine, so where you see that shadowed area, show it in the pictures here, where that gravelled area is. There's been obviously there's been an improvement to the property already that was done. There was no need for a building permit for that. That's not the foundation of the shed, that's the platform that the proposed shed, they want it to go on. Some pictures of the home. It's a beautiful home and garden. The bottom right-hand image shows the kind of drop-off of the ravine that's on the west side of the property. Based on our contour lines on our GIS maps, it drops by about 20 feet over a 20-foot lateral distance. So it's pretty steep. Some pictures of the backyard. The backyard is pretty sizable. I think I measured from the aerial about 30 feet from the foundation of the house to the back fence line. The property line extends farther past that fence line, but the ravine kind of drops. And if you can see it, the fence is actually sinking into the ground. So I'm not a soil scientist, but I think that there's evidence of erosion, obviously, in the backyard that would make it hard to build anything there. When I was there, Paul showed me kind of how soft that ground is, just by kind of penetrating it with his bird feeder. So that I think it's pretty obvious that there's some gradual erosion that's continuing to eat the property away. And then also an image of the side access point away from on the opposite side of the ravine. Here's the site plan, kind of showing how far it is. That drainage easement that's shown is coterminous with the ravine, basically. The shed is being proposed in a easement area, so similar to the last setback variance we heard, there's an easement there. Spoken with the city of West Lafayette about it, and as long as the petitioner is aware of the risk in doing that, there would be no issue with a building permit being issued. Moving on to the tests, staff believes that granting this variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. Use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance request will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The terms of the zoning ordinance are being applied to a situation that is not common. The property is unique with the ravine and also the erosion. It makes it hard to locate the shed kind of anywhere other than where it's being proposed. That being said, staff could not identify a hardship in this case. There's no, the property can be used without a tool shed. A tool shed is not a requirement for the property to be used as a residence. So it's for that reason alone that no hardship was identified that staff recommends denial. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Petitioner, petitioner's representative.
Paul Lettrell, I'm the owner and resident of 200 Cedar Hollow Court. So I've been at the residence about 4 years, and in that time I've spent basically all of my free time kind of reconciling some apparent neglect from the previous property owners. It takes a lot of materials and tools to do so, and I have to store those things somewhere. Right now, all those things are stored in my garage, right? And I'd like to put them somewhere else. And if I could put the shed in the backyard, that would be great, but there's no way to get a shed back into the backyard because if you look at the next slide, I think, the image on the left shows my only access to the backyard. I would have to crane a shed over the house to get into the backyard, and even just getting the materials to build a shed back there would be difficult. So, I think that the only place to build a shed is on the proposed site. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Please come forward.
I'm Dave Glotzbach. I live at 100 Reba Drive. That is immediately across the road from their property. First off, never been to one of these. It's kind of neat. But the reason that I like it is I've been in my property for approaching 30 years, and we're very proud of it, worked very hard on it. In the 4 years that the Luttrells have been there, the level of stewardship is so far above anything I've ever seen there. I've never seen anybody go down in that ravine, do any kind of salvage or recovery work, and I've seen this young man spend almost a year and a half, whatever, clearing that out, taking out the trees that were dead and dying. Spent a fair amount of money, I'm sure, cutting some down when they need to have equipment. He has improved the property tremendously. The home, the stewardship, as I said, that home is so much better looking now than it ever was. Some of that's a matter of opinion, but it's just the work that they put into it has greatly improved the actual property itself, the visibility, and it actually stands out in the neighborhood. I agree with his assessment. You need tools to do that kind of work. And it'd be nice to have a garage, because I know my garage is a tool shop too. So I vote for it. I think it's an improvement. It doesn't cause any danger. The lines of sights are still there for the intersections. And, yeah, I don't see anything negative about it.
Okay, thank you. And if you'd sign in, please. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Please just come on up and, okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the petition? In favor? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Brant Bell. I live down the street on Cedar Hollow at 216. Me and my wife are the most recent people to join the little community there about 2.5 years ago. And I wasn't aware of a large portion of this until it was brought to my attention in a campaign against this. And I feel impingent upon me to speak in support, because there's in the current market, I was looking for a home that was well built, well made, a nice community that wasn't in a hua. And the idea that there were other people in the community that wanted to tell people what they could and couldn't do with their property seemed unfair. But in agreement with the previous comments, there's really no downsides that I can see to the community at large that would get in the way. As soon as my wife and I turned onto the road, we saw their very well-kept garden and ood and odd over it. They maintain everything excellently. So anything that would assist in that effort, I think, is well worth everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition to the petition? Just come on up. Give your name and address and
Hello. Mike Taylor, 210 Cedar Hollow Court. My wife and I have been there for a little over 27 years. And we're in favor of the zoning as is. Paul came in the neighborhood about 4 years ago, and he's done a great job maintaining the home and everything. And I hate this, that we're in a confrontational situation, but most of the neighbors are completely against this. And it just kind of opens the door of what are we going to get next. You know, we've been there and we're really happy with our situation, and we are adamantly against the variance. Thank you.
thank you. Next in opposition.
Good evening. I'm Dave McKinnis, 206 Cedar Hollow Court, West Lafayette. 47 years ago, my wife Kathy and I were the first to purchase a lot on Cedar Hollow Court and build a home. And when we did that, we looked at the Area Plan Commission approvals for the Cedar Hollow subdivision, it was called at that time. And we were very pleased to see that the zoning requirements had a minimum setback for all of the homes that would be built there, and that sheds were not permitted in the front yard. That was something that pleased us very much. And over the few ensuing years after we moved in, all 13 homes, all 13 lots were built up, all in compliance with the minimum setback requirements, and all in compliance, including today, with the absence of any structures or sheds in the front yard. My family has enjoyed the beautiful neighborhood, the street we live on. It's aesthetically pleasing, and that would be compromised if we enable anyone to build in the front yard. And if this variance is accepted, then it would encourage others to do the same, leading to the deterioration of the beauty of the street, which isn't shown in these pictures. And in my view, absolutely would affect property values. In my view, there are many compelling reasons to decline to approve this variance. And those are the many people that live on the street now, including ourselves, who do not want to see the beauty and aesthetics of our street compromised by a shed in the front yard, and those many who will be coming to the neighborhood in future years as there is turnover. And so my wife Kathy and I are very much opposed to the granting of this variance, and respectively ask the board here tonight to decline the approval of this variance. Thank you very much for your attentiveness to my concerns.
Thank you. Sir, if you could sign in. Next in opposition, please. If you're going to speak, you got to get up, or we're going to move on without you.
I'm Kathy McInnes. I live at 206 Cedar Hollow Court, which is the house next door. And I appreciate everything Dave said, but I actually have some questions that I would like answered. In the report, it mentions that that the foundation is a stone foundation. But I would like to point out that the foundation is concrete under that rock. So there's a concrete base under the rock. The foundation is also 14 by 20. It is not 10 by 16. And I would like to know why that is. I would also like to know my understanding is that once you approve the foundation, anything can go on top of it. And so the look of the building, the appearance of the building is totally up to the homeowner. And if, the height of it makes a huge difference to me. Actually, I don't want it at all. I just feel like residential area should not have sheds in the front yard. To me, it's just beyond what should be approved, and it's far different than what you see in any West Lafayette neighborhood. I drove around West Lafayette thinking, well, I'll just see if there are any others, what they look like, can it be incorporated nicely, that kind of thing. There are none. And I would think that setting a precedent for the whole West Lafayette area of a shed in the front yard, and or it could be, she shed, he shed, granny pads, all those kinds of things. It seems like once you approve it, you're opening a floodgate, in my opinion. So that's all I have to say, and I do hope that the variance is denied.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Paul, you have a chance to rebut arguments. Please come forward. And if you can address any questions that were brought up.
Yeah, I don't have any rebuttals, but I can clarify the questions. There's no concrete under the gravel. It's just the soil under the gravel. And there's no concrete, not a single pound of it. And it is that quote unquote foundation, right? The pad is 14 by 20. And that is to allow drainage, around the shed. The shed's supposed to be 10 by 16, and you have to allow some room in between those walls that's not compacted underneath the structure so that it can drain properly. So that's why the base is larger.
You said 14 by 10 is the dimensions of the shed?
No.
Okay.
16 by 10.
16 by 10?
Yeah.
We've got 25 by 10 in the petition, or at least on
That's.
never mind. That's a setback.
You're good.
I'm not. Thank you.
That's all I had.
I guess question for staff concerning some of the comments that were brought up. I mean, this is a shed and can only be a shed for storage. It can't be habitable space.
That is correct.
So it can't become anything more than a shed.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, an accessory dwelling unit is not permitted within the city of West Lafayette, so they couldn't get a permit for that.
And I guess another question, is there in our zoning ordinance anything that prohibits them, a shed from being in the front yard? I mean, I know you can't build it closer than the front setback.
Not in the R1 zone, no. It's just that setback, there are setbacks for the primary and then the,
And secondary, and since it's a street frontage, it has to be, it's supposed to be set back at
Right.
least or at the same,
yep, the same.
so at the same 25-foot setback as the house, and that's why we're going from 25 feet to 10 feet.
Right, if they have anything in, like restrictive covenants that may describe that,
Right,
what you're saying, but that's not a zoning matter.
Right, that'd be a matter of the neighborhood if there are covenants. Any other questions from the board, comments? If not, we've got a ballot.
Five ballots cast, 3 yes, 2 no.
That's an inconclusive vote and will be heard again at next month's meeting. So do you have the date? It's August.
August 20, I believe. Oh, is it 26?
Or 20, if it's August
7.
20, there you go.
There you
Thanks.
go. That's why we have that slide there, so that we remind ourselves.
So it'll be heard again on August 27th at 6 o'clock. And hopefully we'll have more members present for that meeting.
Indeed.
Administrative matters.
Just a point, kind of order for next month, since we have a slightly significant case that's probably going to bring a lot of people here. We were going to reach out to the petitioner, if it's all right with the board, to see if they're comfortable requesting that they be heard last, to allow all the other cases, including this one, to go ahead of them. So if you're okay with that, we'll reach out to the petitioner for
I am
Rainbow
fine
Trail.
with that and would prefer
Okay.
that. So
I know that's normally how we roll, but I just wanted to make sure.
do we know how many cases, or has the filing deadline passed?
Deadline's Monday,
Okay.
so not sure yet. Yeah. Do you know how many we have presently,
I think we have 4 so far.
including this one
Including
Okay.
this one and the big one.
and the big one? So we may get some stragglers on Monday. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay. We'll reach out to them, and I'm sure they'll agree out of mercy. That's all we have.
Thank you. Any other matters?
I actually have something. During the course of this meeting, I found out that I became a grandfather for the 3rd time.
There you go. That's exciting news.
Go.
Mom and grandson are doing well.
Nice.
Good. That's what all the beeping was about.
Yes, that was indeed.
Good for you.
Unless any member has an objection, the chair will order the findings of each member casting a vote for the majority decision of the board be the collective findings of the board in support of the decision of the board. Hearing none, and is so ordered. I'll take the last motion.
I move to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
For dinner.